It's January 29th, 2022, part of my journal catalog, whatever, of being the couch potato who doesn't want to be involved, but is being harmed by really dangerous criminals, and having a local area that's infected and fights over things with other management systems. Now, it was brought to my attention as I can read I know there's gangs in the city. Nothing new. Whatever they call themselves. New York City Police Department has to deal with them. I'm totally out of that loop. On a bumper sticker, it says, just as an example, $10,000 for information leading to the arrest of somebody who shoots a police officer. Now that's really scary, because for me, in my opinion, of having a son who would like to wear a uniform in their whatever, which I'm adamantly, on the fence with, I don't know. But it looks to me like that just puts some kind of betting amount or targets, and then it could disrupt and cause major strife, or some alternate reality, or augmented reality that's not okay. But getting from street cops who know that this is very possible and a real danger, impossibility, to whoever created this bumper sticker authority and got it approved onto every one of the bumpers. I don't know how to chase that level of how the flag, the pole, the square, which square is the sending end, which square is the receiving end. It's gotten very sloppy in New York City. Again, my mom looks like the girl with the pearl earring from 1948, that there were wars fought elsewhere. I don't know what happened in America in the same time frame. I know there's some founding fathers here. I know that there was foundational laws set. I don't know what they are, because I've never been introduced to a field of study or a career path that would even lay such a foundation for me in my educational whatever. So my mother has this reemergence look of a known painted collection, and she looks more than I do like the statue of Michelangelo's Pieta, Pieta, for artwork collectors. So I don't know in archangel speak, but that level of mitochondrial DNA and RNA is extremely collectible for a certain level of gentlemen. One per life frame. What's happening during this, the whatever is starting to manipulate whatever, in starting to mess with the breeding of the reoccurring whatevers. So now that gets really frightening. And then trying not to get stuck in an argument over something stupid in between. Because to everybody, their argument is, they become the most sensitized to it. It becomes the most important thing. But there's a plethora of arguments to be had, and they're all going on at the same time, while the world is breaking and more serious criminals are being grown and housed in some form of something, I don't know what, while other things are being developed and becoming more dangerous. So I find there's a gentleman, I saw a piece on Russia the other day. I know that's like a dangerous word within itself to even mention in my whatever. But there was a Siberian gentleman who was rescuing tigers, and he said in his profession that there is two pure bloods. One's, I think Siberian, and one's some name I can't remember. And then the other one's, I think they call it a Bangladesh, and then there's, if somebody tries to mix the bloods, then it becomes a whatever. That area happens to know for breeding of tigers that if you try to cross their bloods, all of a sudden they become less valuable. I don't know. It's the information that the gentleman knows about his industry and about his zoology, his extreme zoology, and he happens to rescue tigers for a living. They're just facts. I happen to be an artifact, but those are some facts that the humans are acknowledging that they've heard before and that they know about. Now, on the same premise is they have this show, but they aired this, not necessarily the show, but they aired this right before a really important piece about somebody speaking about the MTA. Now, I'm in a United States with a president, a president area. There's no person that I'm aware of or that has ever made itself aware on this teleportation device of anything higher than a U.S. president. I watch other areas and they use other types of people, but when in that search on this just recently for other news sources that do not come into the package of rabbit ears so far this long, I've been made aware of there's something called a metropolitan police. That's different, but we still have on an LIRR, which is our transit, TRANSIT. There is still MTA. They have a separate police department. I don't believe it's the same as foreign. It might. I don't know. I haven't been able to get anybody to, again, what to ask and what it would actually mean. But there's a separate NYPD. And then now that we're in this nor'easter, there's a gentleman that's going to come up. Now this word, they've made this word into some TV production spot that explains one thing, but could anger somebody if they thought that they were being portrayed in a manner that was not respected. Now, it says back, hell, helo, to R. All right? And now, the way the man explains it, he's talking about plowing snow. But if there was some danger to the founding fathers and to the infrastructure that was built, there's a very real conversation that could be laid over this conversation the man is speaking about to those that are trying to it feels like to me, based on what's being portrayed and being acknowledged, it feels like if you had a really amazing old classic car and somebody wanted to come in because it is so beautiful and you took such good care of it, it feels like somebody is coming in with a screwdriver and the knowledge about how to just hotwire, HOTWIRE, your most favorite classic car. That's what Century 20 feels like in New York by watching whatever it is that they're portraying.
Bachelor, new Monday on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Coming back with the AccuWeather snow alert. We've been on the air all morning, and we will be here.
Wow.
And we are now joined, because people are maybe trying to get around, get to work this morning, do something like that. The MTA becomes a big part of that when we talk about mass transit on a day like this. So MTA Chair and CEO Jana Lirr joining us now. Good morning to you. I know you're super busy, so we appreciate the time.
Hi, Mike. I'm Michelle.
So can you give us an indication on what is the
We're in a
system
state of
looking like right now? I
emergency
know some
today.
parts have been
It's
closed. Give us an indication of what we see.
2022 nor'easter.
Well, I'm in the MTA situation room at our headquarters, and actually the MTA system is operating really well. The subway system is going
Channel 7.
full gear with a very small adjustment of service just to the Rockaways. The bus system is operating really well. We got 2,400 buses out there with chains on the tires, and they're moving, obviously, with some caution and moderate speed, but they are operating. Metro North is operating on all 3 branches with hourly frequencies. The one major hit to the mass transit system of the region is Long Island Railroad. We shut it down at 8 a.m. this morning. We're going to bring it back tomorrow, but the exact timing of that restart depends on when the snow stops and when we're able to fully clear the tracks and otherwise get ready.
Chains on the buses, you talked about that. I've been counting the buses as they have gone by, amazed that they are still out there and functioning quite well. People, I'm sure, appreciating that. What are you hearing from bus drivers, if anything, this morning as they travel out and about in terms of what's going on the roads?
The bus drivers are well trained, and they're operating with a big margin of safety. We have a very few incidents where buses have slid around and gotten into trouble. Otherwise, they're operating normally and successfully. But they are seeing a lot of motorists who got out there and who got into trouble. It's no secret that the leadership of the state and the city is advising people not to get out and drive on the road. But that is one concern. But I got to give a shout out, not just to our MTA workers, but to the city's Department of Sanitation workforce. They're out there plowing, and it's making it possible for our buses to run.
It has been pretty impressive to see all the buses rolling through.
Amazing.
Just right in the teeth of this storm.
What I will say is when I saw a UK mention of a news, totally separate landmass, they actually, believe it or not, now that I'm thinking about it, on their no, they don't have MTA, right? They have a Meet the UK, MET. So it's Meet the UK. And they have something along this pattern on Meet the UK for their differential. Here, we have an MTA for a 3-letter follow-along.
The storm and getting people to where they need to go. Sir, I have to ask you, though, as you're monitoring everything, some of the elevated portions of the subway system, of course, are exposed to the elements. Are you watching any part that you're concerned as we head farther into the storm this afternoon?
It's a good question, Mike. We have 220 miles of the subway system that's actually outdoors. And one area that I mentioned earlier in the Rockaways, we actually did have to shut down, to suspend service on that last end of the A train temporarily. We've got additional shuttle buses out there so everybody can get where they need to go, but we did have to make that adjustment. Otherwise, the outdoor subway system is operating. I live in a part of Brooklyn that's got an outdoor subway, and I'm going to be going home there, later on today. So it is functioning, and we're determined with our snow removal trains and our other professionals operating to keep it going.
Now, as part of the digital package, I don't know if they had this prior in the 1980s, but this right here is a computer enhancement, and I don't know who is dealing out or selling out, because you can have this camera taking this photo, but then there's some program or some filter or some something that when it comes through Verizon or some other service provider, there's a chance that it might not be uniform. And that's really dangerous for one leveled playing field of communication. If a message needs to be upheld or needs to be known. So these are areas of concern for me that are not being handled properly because I don't know who's been hired, what's been changed, what's been essentially hot-wired, what's been rewiring the system in these small, hard to pinpoint unless you're stuck bored in some room trying to look or given an opportunity to have a voice to say, the world's not right, my health is deteriorating, and I'm seeing some real signs of concern. But these signs of concern are not just here because of what's going on, they extend elsewhere, and I don't know what to do.
Any other shout outs to give? I mean, we were just really amazed to see the buses operating as well as they have been with the chains. And again, it's because the streets also are passable at this point.
Well, regionally, I would say that because Long Island is so hard hit, the planning that Governor Hochul and her team led, that was reflected in the news conferences and announcements made yesterday, has really paid off. We planned the shutdown of the Long Island Railroad. We were able to message it in an orderly way. They planned exactly how.
Now, this is an interesting conversation where it could be because there is planning involved. My whole thing is who was involved in the planning before these dangerous results that I wake up to every day actually went into effect.
How they were
and with
to
whose
keep people
help?
off the roads on Long Island, especially eastern Long Island, it's paying off, and that statewide planning effort has really been a success. That's another shout out that I want to get to the state DOT team, as well as our city workers and MTA work.
And then quickly, I just had one question about the LIRR for people concerned about tomorrow morning. What are you looking for, and when will you make a determination on when to fire that part of the service back up?
Mike, it all depends on when the snow stops. We're ready to, we've got all of the equipment pre-positioned, the snow removal operation, the trains that do de-icing of the third rail, the patrol trains that get out there and make sure there are no obstacles. They're all ready. They're all in place. Everything's gassed up and ready to go. It depends when the snow stops. Then we will decide when we restore service. And our principal goal, Mike, is to make sure that we're fully ready for the Monday morning rush. We're going to be there.
Yeah, fortunately, this storm hitting on the weekend. Jana Lirr, Chair and CEO of the MTA, huge job at hand, and we appreciate it and hope you and all your members stay safe.
This is a static image, but this could change the message,
They'll be ready to go.
even though the voice over is
Nicole,
giving a
what are you
clear
seeing at this
whatever.
point? This has been exactly as forecast.
It is star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies Broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And it's the nor'easter of 2022.